Gaurav, I bring you in here when we talk of operations like this and we talk of the situation changing, and both you and I have seen the situation change in Kashmir Valley. But let's also not get ahead of ourselves. We also remember and must remind ourselves that Pakistan continues to infiltrate and cause disruption in J&K despite best efforts from the forces and the government.
The reason for existence for Pakistan army will disappear if the situation between India and Pakistan are normalized. And it's been the biggest setback for Pakistan, with India now very clearly saying any conversation with Pakistan will only be on Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and on terror. That's exactly why Pakistan will try and increase either infiltration or terror through other means in Jammu and Kashmir. And that's exactly why security forces are on a state of high alert. And Operation Sindoor, for the first time, has mounted the heaviest cost yet on Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. While the Balakot airstrikes were a big blot on Pakistan, they were able to say that they struck back with swift retort and India lost to MiG-21, and then Group Captain Wing Commander Abhinandan, now Group Captain Abhinandan, had to be released through negotiations. But this time, 11 Pakistani air bases were decimated. Bases like Noor Khan, which are the main command and control system. Jacobabad, which was the NATO, headline. Sargodha, deep 200 kilometers inside Pakistan, a NATO airbase being destroyed and their main nuclear site being, the airfield around it being decimated, was a big blow to Pakistan's prestige. And you see it on Pakistani television channels, their social media networks. Their entire country is criticizing Field Marshal Asim Munir for bringing Pakistan to this state. And yet, to remain in power, they will try and target India again through these radical Islamist terrorists, except now they fear what will be India's next bigger response. So that is exactly why this degree of uncertainty that India has introduced so far, and you and I have covered counter-terror operations for a long time. Everyone used to say Pakistan will hit India. India will only talk about aar-paar ki ladai. You recall 2002, when Pakistani terrorists at the height of Operation Parakram, they targeted an Indian army camp in Jammu and they massacred army families. They killed a 6-month-old child, a 16-year-old girl. They killed the mother. They killed army soldiers. And India could do nothing because Pakistan had this nuclear bogey. What operation? Oh, that's the first image.
Go ahead, Gaurav. Go ahead. Yes, explain to us.
Of that terror hideout. That is the way the terrorists were hiding in that densely forested area. So even if you were to use a drone under this tarpaulin, under this camouflage, you wouldn't be able to see that terrorists were hiding underneath this. And there are some recoveries that you can see in this area. Now, the terrorists would lie down under this. Even if you were to cross this area from a couple of 100 meters away, you wouldn't be able to spot a terrorist hiding under this, and the terrorists could target you. This is the forested area where the terrorists were hiding.
Gaurav, apologies for just intervening here. I think we can see neutralized terrorists as much right under the tarpaulin, under this tent that was set. Look at the ration with them, the ammunition around them. And we'll try and zoom in closely. I do believe we can see a neutralized terrorist body as well. And before, remember, this is extracted from the zone. This is evidence that is being that is ensured being done and taken by our armed forces as well. Gaurav, unlike earlier, every step is being documented. This is as much evidence that perhaps the country also needs to see.
Oh, absolutely. The country must see this and the world must see this. The world must see Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror as it bleeds India, and as some even within our country talk about Aman Ki Asha with the state sponsor of radical Islamist terror. See the real face of the terror state. So, on camera you can see the body of a terrorist who's been slain. Now that positive identification from certain aspects will be attempted, and perhaps in a couple of hours from now we'll be told whether these are the Pahalgam terrorists who've been neutralized. But the fact that a big group of terrorists, 4 to 5, the information was a hybrid group of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed, they were operating together. That's how intelligence also leaked out, whether it's some of the locals who leaked out that information, nomads, or those who were ferrying food and resources for these terrorists, who were April, May, June, and end of July. That's how long these terrorists were able to sustain themselves in these forested areas. So clearly for replenishment, they were going to some locality, some area, and perhaps that is how this information leaked out. But the fact that they managed to survive, if they're the same group of terrorists, also goes on to show the kind of support that terrorism still enjoys in pockets of Jammu and Kashmir. So big success, the neutralization of terrorists, and that too in the Dachigam forest area, not far from Srinagar city, Pooja.
And Gaurav, just looking at these images, I want to inform the viewer, you may be seeing only a small part of where this tarpaulin has been set up. These are massive mountain forest areas. To be able to identify first via drone, then to enter with the boots on the ground, with our ammunition to ensure we don't get hit and that you neutralize the terrorists is an extremely difficult, coordinated operation. And that is why when you see this image, remember every step that our soldiers take to be entering into these forests, because it's not clear where these tarpaulins are set up. It's a tip-off, it's a lead. They follow it, they track it through surveillance, whether it's drones, whether it's satellite, and that is when they're able to neutralize. But look at the ration, the kind of equipment you see around this as well. This is only one of the tarpaulins we've seen. It's very likely that there were more, and these are complete forest areas. And therefore, at a juncture like this, when it's a joint operation taking place, our soldiers, our men in uniform, ensuring that these terrorists will not succeed in creating more chaos and commotion. As we wait for details, identification of the bodies, of the identities as well, it's a combined effort from the locals, whether it's the nomadic tribes like Gujar Bakarwals or our men in uniform, to be able to come together, local Kashmiris coming together as much to be able to have these terrorists neutralized. Gaurav, looking at these images, I think of the effort clearly that goes into identifying these tents, these tarpaulins deep into the forest, and a realization they came to stay here, sit here for months and days, because I remember earlier they could venture into the villages or even towns, ask for food and water. Now they realize some local Kashmiris may tip them off. So they have their own tents and tarpaulins. They come with their own ration, so they need not venture into towns and cities anymore.
So they use the overground workers, Pooja, the OGWs of various terrorist organizations who go and keep food at a particular location. Now their handlers in Pakistan, they also try to ensure at times that there is no interface between OGWs or overground workers and the Pakistani terrorists who come in, because OGWs are told to go and keep food or ammunition or weapons or grenades or anything else that they may require up to a point. And from that point, they keep looking at the terrorists who are in hiding. They keep looking. Once they see, fine, nobody is coming in from the other side. After several hours, they'll go and pick it up from that location and then come back to their camps. Often the OGW does not even know where the camp finally is, from what sources tell India Today. And recently, we were having a long discussion on why it's taking so long to identify some of these terrorists or to locate some of these terrorists. And one of the officers who was engaged in the task of identifying them said, one, the terrorists had changed their appearance. That is what their intelligence was. Two, the locals who were assisting them, some had been taken into custody and the others were not even going to them.